So today's lesson, we're going to be talking about where Tom and I go, or one of the places we go for our lessons and to get trained and continually trained in what we do. And the Ed Slott Elite Advisor Group, Tom and I are both members of this, and it involves flying to a distant place and sitting in a hotel meeting room for at least a couple of days, 2 days, twice a year, for updates on all his stuff with Ed Slott and all his technical experts speaking. We just came back the end of April, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now, 20 different Ed Slott meetings, and Tom's been in it for a couple of years. And I want to bring Tom on, and I want to talk about, so why are we doing a video today, Tom, about Ed Slott and Ed Slott training?
Yeah. I think we're doing this video because you have a lot of money in IRAs and 401ks, and you don't have a plan for it. You have not thought through, you might be, I'll just take the minimum when I have to. You kind of know it's out there that you have to do something. With this being a large asset, a part of your, overall wealth, we need to have a plan of what to do with it. You have plans with everything else. You got plans for when you're going to retire, when you're going to start Social Security. You have no plan of what to do with your IRA. We need to fix that. And so we're doing the video just to talk about the training we go to, where we learn a lot of the stuff we use in practice, and get a little into the details of kind of what we're learning, kind of what we learned back at this last session.
Great. Well, why don't we bring up the show notes?
Yep. I'll bring up the show notes. You can find these at the link below of our video. They're also on our website. But it goes through, we look at the press release, and it really highlights the different areas that we focused on in this session. Each session, we do it twice a year. They go through little different things. We kind of revisit things as we go along. But these are the areas we focused on this one. And so if you're interested, and you can go back and look at some of the other press releases and things to see more of the stuff we've learned about. And we'll go over that in the video. But you can find this on our website or at the link below.
Okay. So we just came back from this video, and even Tom asked me as we're getting ready for this video, like, what's the point here? Why are we doing this? Why? So what? We went to a meeting, and so we spent some time just talking about why this is so important. And the reason we're doing this video is this is very important to Tom and I. We wouldn't be paying the kind of money that we pay to the Ed Slott organization to attend these meetings if they weren't very impactful and we didn't learn things and draw conclusions that are very useful to you if you hire us as financial planners, or you just watch these videos and you learn from them. The root of a lot of our stuff comes straight from Ed Slott. So he's a CPA, Ed Slott himself, and he'll say that he's a recovering CPA. And what Ed Slott talks a lot about is we're financial planners, and a lot of the people in his audience are CFPs like Tom and I, or they're attorneys and estate planning attorneys, retirement planning attorneys, and then there's CPAs that are in there learning from him, and he's America's IRA expert. So this is who his audience is. There's about 500 of us that go there, and each meeting, you'd think that they get redundant because it seems like we're talking about the same things, but they never lose my attention. And we're reviewing the tax code, and we're reviewing the strategies to work within the tax code, specifically as they relate to IRAs, retirement plans, 401ks, which just happens to be where a significant amount of America's money is in. And my guess is as Tom just assumed in the beginning, is that you have a significant amount in your IRA and 401k, or 401k, or both, or just one of them. And what's unique about that, unless it's a Roth, you haven't paid taxes on that money yet. It's enjoyed tax deferral. You got a lot of money in there because you've been able to postpone or avoid the taxes to this point. But as you approach retirement, you need a plan. And you say, well, why do I need a plan? Well, if this thing just keeps spiraling and you keep avoiding taxes and it keeps growing, you are going to reach required minimum distributions at 73 or 75 if you're young enough. And then you're going to start those. But even if you just take those, you've got an IRA that if it doesn't have a plan, it's just kind of there, this untaxed thing that doesn't really have a purpose for you. And so uh, this is how Ed Slott teaches us. And he really pointed this out to us very slowly over a number of years, because I went into the training over 10 years ago just thinking that was a good thing. I just wanted to help my clients postpone taxes and postpone taxes and just do that until they get into their 70s, then just take the minimum. And I never really thought too much about what's going to happen when they pass away, when they have this gigantic balance and it goes to their kids. I mean, sure, I was educated in how you can stretch it out and do all the kind of things that you do, maybe when you've inherited money. But, the reality is a lot of kids don't do that, is when adult children inherit IRA money that hasn't been taxed yet, they generally, this is the first money that shows up right after the person passes away because it's paid by beneficiary. So, I mean, 30 days later, this money's coming at you. It hasn't been taxed. And the way they're going to get it the first part of their inheritance, because at middle age, your children are probably going to need some of this money. And the only way they can use it is to pay a bunch of taxes. And then that income gets added on to their annual income for that year. And that's what we call a tax bomb. A lifetime of work and saving and tax postponement explodes as a time bomb. It compliments of the IRS and your adult children who probably genuinely need the money. And the only way to get at it is paying the taxes.
One other area I would point out that is a potential tax bomb is not at the death of both spouses, but at the death of the first spouse. So if you are a couple and one of you passes away before the other, which tends to be how it goes, it's unlikely you're both going to die at the same time. The person who survives the other spouse now inherits that money, or it's their money, but now they're filing taxes at a single rate, which are double what they are at a couple's rate. And so that might be affect you while you're still living. I have several clients now where one spouse has passed away. They have this large balance and they start looking at taxes now. It is way higher. Now they have to start worrying about IRMA, the increased cost for Medicare. They have to worry about giving back a lot of their Social Security and taxes. I mean, it impacts a lot of things. So it's not just, some people say, well, I'll let my kids deal with it. If they blow it, it's on them. I'll be gone. But you're missing the point. Is this could be a problem when the first one of you dies, not just when both pass away.
Absolutely. And so, this whole idea is, we're just talking about a tax bomb because we see it happening when we have clients who pass away, and we have clients coming into us who have just inherited, or they're existing clients and they're in their 60s or 50s, and then they've just inherited from one of their parents, and then they're asking us what to do. And so we're seeing, a lifetime of accumulation, and then we're going to help them stretch it out and do all that. But some of these people just need to cash it in, and cash it in quickly. Or maybe they've already done that and they're coming to us with a tax problem. So we go to these training sessions, with eyes wide open, many times hearing the same thing over and over and over. But I leave here with pages of notes, a book that's about that thick, which we have. And, it helps us tremendously. And a lot of these videos that you're watching from us, it's rooted in the Ed Slott training. So we go to this stuff twice a year. We want to, this time we are talking about the Secure Act 2.0. So you had the Secure Act, which was really designed to make your retirement more secure. At least that's the way it was titled. But the reality is it made your adult children, or your beneficiaries, it gave them a shorter window to stretch your IRAs. In other words, it had to be distributed. That was the main thing in it. And then they moved the RMD age a little bit. And then they had to come out with Secure Act 2.0, which that was just kind of a name that they came up with, people like us came up with. So it was just the revision of the Secure Act, because they needed to clean some things up in the original bill. And that moved the RMD age to 73 for people like I'm 64, turning 65. And so I'm going to have to do my first RMD at 73. And then people that are a few years younger than me, they're going to hit 75. But the point is that's still young for a lot of people in this day and age. And the RMD is only 4% or a little less than 4% at those ages. And so what happens when people don't take any withdrawals till RMDs, and then they start the RMDs, they take out the 4% every year and pay taxes on it, but then they grow it back, and they're on a path to have a large untaxed balance at their death. And some people are okay with that. We also have some people that we encourage them to start spending and enjoying some of the money piece by piece at a younger age so that they live off of this. And perhaps if they don't need to spend the money, even if they're making the withdrawals, that they could save some of that or buy life insurance with it if they're ultimately concerned about the estate, or they can do a Roth conversion. So these are all the kind of things that we're learning. And then we have people make presentations on different strategies, people, practitioners like us. And so we just learn a lot and we get a lot of new ideas about that. Now, the IRS tax law changes is anything that happened since the last meeting, and the IRS is forever putting forth new regulations. And then as they affect retirement accounts or just affect retired people in general in the income tax system, we're studying those, the ramifications of those. We're studying private letter rulings that we can follow. We're studying tax court cases and showing how the IRS has ruled on different retirement plan issues. And a lot of that has benefits, so we can do planning, and we can also warn people about things where they've just messed up, like they haven't taken minimum distributions, or they've pulled the money out on a 60-day rollover, and now they're appealing to the IRS because they kept the money longer than that, and they're trying to get it back into an IRA and avoid the penalties. I could just go on and on about the things that we're doing. The court cases are always have a big impact upon me. And then we're going to be talking about this in a later video. We had this gentleman, David McKnight, speak to us, and I could recommend a book, his book, The Power of Zero. And he gave us each a copy. And what the whole gist of the thing is as you get ready to retire, as you plan for retirement, you can use Roth IRAs, you can use life insurance. You really want to create non-taxable or tax-free investment vehicles so that you don't pay taxes on your Social Security, and you can live a 70 and beyond tax-free retirement. Okay. I mean, that's a mouthful, and it's really not doing justice to his book. We're going to do some future videos on this. So I want to bring Tom back on and just talk a little bit about, the impact that this class has on you, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very impactful. I mean, we get into a lot of really detailed stuff, which we're not going to bore you guys with, but it's really helpful for us because it really helps drive what we do in our practice. A lot of what we do well, a lot of what we recommend is based off the things we learn here. And it's great to have the resources they provide. We can call them up if we get into a really hairy, detailed question that not a lot of advisors know. We can call them up and get their advice. I will say that most financial advisors, most investment managers, they do not do any of this tax planning. They specify on their paperwork, if you look at their statement, is we do not provide tax advice. And that's something where we are different than a lot, is that we dig into it, we give advice, we look for and recommend things to do with that. And so the training has really given us the confidence to do that in a sophisticated way, in a way that is intelligent, and that we can really provide good advice to our clients.
Okay. And so, the Ed Slott organization, every other year, they have this lady come speak to us. She's on staff with them about really delaying Social Security, is what a lot of it is, or not. And so we've learned a lot, and a lot of what we put forth to our individual clients. We don't recommend everybody delay Social Security, but a lot of people we do, people that are well off and have large IRA balances, many times we do. And then the people that are in a situation, some of the people we recommend that they take it at 66, but all the background and the use of the software, we learned a lot of that in Ed Slott. The IRMA business for high income Medicare, where people have to pay extra Medicare, significantly extra Medicare, uh, which is really a hidden tax. We've learned all about that in Ed Slott. The IRA 401k is really what that's where Tom started the show. That's really, he's America's IRA expert, and we are, in effect, his groupies. Estate planning. Estate planning is really a big part of what they're doing. And with your IRA, you need to think about estate planning because a lot of this money gets taxed at the point where it goes from the owner to the adult children. I mean, that's where a lot of the money ends up, and that's where it's going to be taxed. And then income taxes and estate taxes. So I want to bring Tom back on. I'm Hans Scheil,
And I'm Tom Griffith.
and we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.